This is commentary on Review 6 in the Workbook for A Course in Miracles. With this review and the 20 lessons that follow in this review, we are going to come to the end of the first part of the workbook and begin the second part after we finish these 20 lessons. So it might be worthwhile to review why the workbook is set up into two parts. As it said in the introduction to the workbook, part one is designed to have us recognize and understand what the ego's thought system is and build our willingness to let go of that thought system based on the lack of satisfaction we have with it, the pain that it can bring us, and the suffering. And part two, then, once we've let go of the ego's thought system, we're still aware of it, we still see it, but we no longer are invested in it. Once we let go of that, then we're able to make space for the Holy Spirit's thoughts and perceptions to come in. So we have to let go, let God. The ego and God are mutually exclusive. You can't have them both. So that's where the process is. So it might also be worthwhile to articulate a little bit of what that ego's thought system is. The ego's thought system, as the ego is a symbol of the separation, and its thought system here is to keep that seeming separation going from love, from God, by seemingly let us be separate from our brothers and sisters. And that separation is one in which we listen to the ego's scripts that it wants to write for the world and everybody in it, to give us, they have to be a certain way to give us our special ego identity, and that specialness is the key. And by specialness, the key to that is to see that we think that there's differences between us and others. And as the Course is always practical, it maintains the distinctions we see, but they are distinctions without a difference. And so as we do the practice through here, as we leave the first part of the workbook, we want to become aware of how we see that ego's thought system, to see that it is not serving our real interests, and that we want to let that go. So let's go through this this review here. There's a strong emphasis on what the practice is through this review and the very specific structure that that practice shall take. So here we go. For this review, we take but one idea each day and practice it as often as is possible. So that's the first construct of practice. As often as we can, we want to bring that idea before our minds, hold it firmly in our minds, understand it clearly, but practice it as often as possible. And then, besides the time you give, morning and evening, should not be less than 15 minutes. And then we make our hourly remembrances throughout the day, and use that idea as often as we can, again it says. So that's the practice structure. As often as we can, morning and evening, for at least 15 minutes, our hourly remembrances. And again, whenever we're tempted to lose our peace, whenever we feel our peace is gone, that's the time to practice. That's when we can make real real advances. So it goes on to say that each of these ideas alone would be sufficient for salvation if it were learned truly. Each one would be enough to give release to you and to the world from every form of bondage and invite the memory of God to come again. That's an outstanding claim, that each idea in and of itself would be enough for the memory of God, memory of love, to come back to us. So with this in mind, we start our practicing, in which we carefully review the thoughts the Holy Spirit has bestowed on us in our last 20 lessons. Each contains the whole curriculum, if understood, practiced, accepted, and applied to all the seeming happenings throughout the day. So look at that order of operations. It's really key. First comes understanding, and once we have understanding, then there's practice, and then there's acceptance. And once we have acceptance, then we apply it to all the seeming happenings throughout the day. So that's key. Understanding. Then there's practice. As we practice, we haven't yet accepted, but as we practice, we will accept, because we'll have these experiences that show us the truth of these lessons. And once we've accepted it, then we will apply it to all the seeming happenings throughout the day. One is enough. but from that one there must be no exceptions made. That's, no exceptions made is just an example of the oneness. The oneness is always there. There is, the meaning of the oneness is there's no exceptions to it. So in our practice, we want to make no exceptions. We want to take that idea and always apply it. And so to help us with not making exceptions, even though each idea would be sufficient, we need all of these and to use them and let them blend as one, as each contributes to the whole we learn. So these practice sessions are like our last review, and they're centered around a theme in which we start and end each lesson. So we want to take this theme and wrap it around each lesson. We say it before the lesson and then after. If you remember the other two reviews, the first one was, my mind holds only what I think with God. God is but love, and therefore so am I. And now here, I'm not a body, I'm free, for I'm still as God created me. And this whole idea of being, I am still as God created me, that's the central linchpin of monotheism, the tradition that we're in, the Judaic, Christian, Islamic tradition, what is called the people of the book, that we are creatures, that we have a creator, and that we still remain as that creator created us. And we're not bodies, we're free. So the day begins and ends with this, and we repeat it every time the hour strikes, or we remember in between we have a function that transcends the world we see. Beyond this, and a repetition of the special thought we practice for the day, that's each lesson, no form of exercise is urged except a deep relinquishment of everything that clutters up the mind, makes it deaf to reason, sanity, and simple truth. And so this everything is this ego's thought system of writing scripts for the world and everybody, so we get our special identity and an entity that's different than everyone else. Okay, so that's the practice. A deep sense of relinquishment. That's not what we want. That ego's thought system has not served us, and we need to let it go so we can let God. We will attempt to get beyond all words and special forms of practicing for this review. And so again, the emphasis again and again is on experience. There's an experience behind these practices, and it's that experience of peace, of joy and love that will lend conviction to us, that will make us certain that we're walking on the right road. And so we want to get beyond the words, and for we attempt this time to reach a quickened pace along a shorter path to the serenity and peace of God. We merely close our eyes and then forget all we thought we knew and understand, for thus is freedom given us from all we did not know and failed to understand. So this is very specific in the practice here. We want to just let go of everything we think we know, make an empty space inside of us, and it's only when we have that empty space, we've made a space for the Holy Spirit to see through us, to perceive through us, to think through us. And our result is the freedom that's given us from all we did not know and failed to understand. And so here again, it's very specific. There is very specific practice instruction. There's but one exception to this lack of structuring. Permit no idle thought to go unchallenged. So this is, no idle thought would mean this ego's thought system, right, of this ego identity. That's the idle thought. And we don't want to let that take place. We don't want to permit that to take root in our minds. So if we notice one, we deny its hold, and we hasten to assure our mind that this is not what we would have, and then gently let the thought with which you denied be given up, and sure and quick exchange for the idea we practice for the day. That idea is the lesson for the day. So when we're tempted in our practice, we hasten to proclaim our freedom from temptation, and we say very specifically, this thought I do not want. This ego identity is not what I want. This special self that sees me different from others, this isn't what I want, and I choose instead. And then we repeat the idea for the day, the lesson for the day, and we let it take the place of what we thought. And beyond such special applications of each day's idea, we will add but a few formal expressions or specific thoughts to aid in the practicing. So there's just a little teaching behind each lesson's title. So instead, we give these times of quiet to the teacher, the Holy Spirit, who instructs in quiet speaks of peace, and gives our thoughts whatever meaning they may have. And so to him we offer this review for you. I place you in charge. This is Jesus speaking in the first person. To him I offer this review for you. I place you in his charge and let him teach you what to do, say, and think each time you turn to him. So look at that. This animates the whole of our day and all of our activities. What should we do? What should we say? And what would we think? This is what the Holy Spirit will give to us. And he will not fail to be available to us each time we call to him to help. Let us offer him the whole review we now begin, and let us also not forget to whom it has been given as we practice day by day, advancing towards the goal he set for us, allowing him to teach us how to go, trusting him completely for the way each practice can best become a loving gift of freedom to the world. So this is, a very important idea about it being a gift. We've freely been given these ideas. There's no cost to us. And once we have the experiences behind them, then we will also give this gift. And it will be the freedom, will free others from this bondage of the ego, the suffering that's involved in it. It's the idea that we're a giver of this as it's been given to us. And so now here's the first lesson. It's review of lesson 181. And so we say before that, I am not a body. I'm free, for I'm still as God created me. And I trust my brothers who are one with me. So that's the idea we want to repeat as often as we can during the day. Make our hourly remembrances with it. Whenever we're tempted to lose our peace, we want to use that. We want to use it in our morning practice and our evening practice. And here's some specific ideas that are congruent with this idea. No one is but my brother. I am blessed with oneness with the universe and God, my Father, one creator of the whole, that is myself, forever one with me. And then we say after each repetition of that lesson, we say again, I'm not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. Okay, that's it for today. Thank you.